we are going live. This meeting is being live streamed. That's awesome. Hopefully you can hear me well. And yeah, we'll kick it off with these 3 challenges. And I know these challenges are not easy to overcome. It's really difficult in IT recruitment, isn't it? Because of the IT stuff and everything that's going on the market. The salaries keep increasing. IT professionals are more and more demanding. So we will talk about the 3 mistakes to avoid so you can actually thrive in this area. I'll at first walk you through the little introduction of the ebook as a little gift. I'll talk about the 3 secret strategies, and there will be space for FAQs, some questions that you can ask, and then we will take it from there. So I'll follow up with those of you who are live with me with this free ebook. That's the ebook that I just recently wrote, How to Recruit IT Candidates Globally and Thrive in 2022. So just released it, when was it? January, end of January. So the first thing I would like to mention is that if you are struggling to fill IT positions and interact with IT candidates, it's probably not your fault, really, because there is a lot of information out there and IT can be very confusing. There are all these IT terms and IT roles and acronyms and programming languages and software frameworks. So it is actually okay not to know everything. And if you've been concerned in the past that you just cannot succeed in international IT recruitment, I want to put those fears to rest for a while. Because IT is the same whether you are in the United States or Australia or Europe, Asia, Canada, India. And also because of, or probably thanks to, COVID-19, even more IT professionals work remotely these days. So the thing is that you can thrive in tech recruitment. Probably you just need the right person to explain it to you. So on the other hand, however, if you've ever felt that software developers just hesitate interacting with recruiters, you are probably right. Software developers don't like talking to recruiters and headhunters who know very little about IT. But that's why we are here today or tonight, right? I assume you want to fill more IT vacancies and earn lots of money. And I want to show you how to make that happen during this webinar. So if you are an independent recruiter or you work for a recruitment agency, you will learn how to increase your commissions. And if you are working as an internal HR manager or talent acquisition specialist, you will learn how to get more candidates to apply for your vacancies. So my goal from this web class is to explain first why the best way to engage with hiring managers and IT candidates is when you actually understand the IT landscape. And second, why the best way to increase your income is by working smarter, not harder. So let me briefly introduce myself. I am Michael. I've been in IT for the last 17 years or so. I have co-founded 3 companies and grew one of them to $70 million in annual revenues. So I'm an IT recruiter. I used to be an IT director, a CTO, a software developer. I have trained over 30,000 IT and HR professionals online. So this is me with my wife, with my 2 kids. That's a lot of fun with them. This is how we like to work together while I'm screening candidates. They keep drawing something nice. However, we also like to have some fun together, although sometimes it's a bit dangerous, as you can see here. But this is what I also like a lot, just to have a pen and paper and write something down with a cup of coffee. When I was back in Thailand, this was my team or part of the team. Especially, I was responsible for the product and IT team, for the data team as well. So that's me with the arrow, as you can see somewhere in the back. I thrive when I interact with software developers. I organized meetups and hackathons, such as this one for 150 software developers. And I recruited and hired many of them while I was the CTO. So a lot of my colleagues relocated from different countries and continents. Think of the United States, the UK, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. And I realized that is what I'm good at. That's what I enjoy and I should do more of. So I relocated back to Europe in 2018 and I started an IT recruitment company. So with my colleagues, we created courses for IT recruiters. You see the initial crew, and we consulted for other staffing agencies. Over time, I trained and onboarded hundreds of tech recruiters in IT. To date, my consulting and training clients include recruitment agencies and startups, corporations in the US, Canada, Europe as well. As you can see, Manpower, Experis, Zero to One Search, Reed, Accenture. So they invited me to train their HR specialists on site before COVID, and now it is mainly online. So these days, mainly online, as I mentioned, over 30,000 IT and HR professionals enrolled in my courses, downloaded ebooks and worksheets. And today I run an international IT recruitment agency with over 50 in-house and external recruitment specialists. So you may ask, hey, why this is important? Why are you telling me all this? Well, because this experience allowed me to observe what and how do other recruiters do and what mistakes they make and how you can also avoid them. So we can cut to the meat of the matter now. We will cover these 3 secrets or strategies. The first one, what common mistake to avoid when posting job descriptions online? The second would be, what mistake to avoid when messaging potential candidates on LinkedIn? And number 3, why not to leave money on the table and earn additional commissions or bonuses instead? So let's start with the first one, the common mistake you should avoid when posting job descriptions online. So let me tell you what happened 2 years ago. So after I relocated from Thailand to Europe, a CEO from a local startup called me and mentioned they cannot find a backend developer. I looked at their JD and I sort of immediately saw what's wrong. So this was the JD. And I was like, well, isn't this obvious? Like, that's what all PHP developers do anyway, because the first sentence said, we are looking for a PHP developer who would be responsible for managing backend services and interchange of data between the server and the users. And I was like, well, but that's what every PHP developer does anyway. They focused on some hard skills. I mean, too many of them, very niche, detailed skills, which in the grand scheme of things don't really matter that much. And especially when now these days, for the last few years, developers use pretty much the same tools. It starts somehow congregating in this sense. So we sat down, I rewrote it in half an hour, and this was the result. Something that is rather referred to as a role advertisement or job advertisement, or a job pitch, we could say. So instead of posting the super boring job description, I rewrote it and wrote something like, senior PHP full stack developer in Slovakia, anyone? Jana is looking for a full stack PHP developer to join her startup Spalneo. It's written in Symfony, which is the framework. There is obviously backend, frontend database, as you would expect. So with this, I sort of describe the whole technical stack. PHP is the programming language, Symfony is the framework, and the rest is as you would expect. There is a database, of course. So this is especially good for developers who prefer working in small teams and are keen to take responsibility for their technical decisions. Spalneo is a funded startup with an MVP. This is important. It has the potential to disrupt the way young people travel for leisure and spa treatments. So with this, I'm trying to get them a little more excited to paint the future for them. It is a funded startup. I wrote it because a lot of developers avoid startups because they are afraid they would not get paid. But I wrote it's a funded startup, which means they have money from investors. The team has already built companies like Skyrope Airlines, so it's likely you will learn how to build a company along the way. This learning experience might be priceless. So instead of just writing some cliche like a lot of growth opportunities, I wrote, the team has already built other companies, so it is likely that you can learn how to build a company from them, in other words. So this way you can go with something more specific instead of some generic cliches. And they got several applicants the next day, and only within 7 days, they extended an offer to their ideal candidate, who eventually worked there for 1.5 years. It was successful because it resonated with the right audience, with the right candidate. However, the opposite is happening on the market these days, which causes a lot of frustration. So there is this developer, Joe, let's say Joe the developer. He receives a message on LinkedIn at 9 a.m. Hey, Joe, we are hiring a Java developer. And then he receives another message like, hey, Joe, at 10 a.m. We are hiring 1 p.m. Joe, we are hiring backend developers. And again, hey, Joe, we have an opening here. And again, right? Like, and this causes quite a lot of frustration. And who wouldn't be surprised, especially given these poor job descriptions, job promotions, something like this, or something like this. Like, who will ever read something like this, right? So, or something like this, even worse. And you can just go to Indeed or Monster or whatever, and you will find similar style one after the other. So imagine for a while that you are Joe the developer. How would you feel? How would you feel if you received 30 similar messages per week? So just think about it for a second, and yeah, just let me know in chat. How would you feel? Let me know in chat whether you are watching on YouTube or here on Zoom. Just let me know. So I later went on to, oh yeah, there are some messages in chat. Shradha wrote annoying, and voila, I would become picky. Well, indeed, of course. Like, it would not really create the best atmosphere, right? So I later went on to interview my IT friends and colleagues to figure out what exactly are they actually interested in. So I created this mind map, which indicates what are those IT professionals, especially software developers, really interested in. So at first, they are interested in the overall technical stack. So what are the 2 or 3 must-have skills? What is the work methodology? What is the level of adoption of the best practices? What describe the team? How senior are team members? Are there any superstars, any A players? What is the project about? What's the scope? Is it a short-term or long-term project? What's the type of the engagement, full-time, permanent? That's obviously clear. Okay, so the takeaway is that copying and pasting job descriptions without understanding them is unsustainable strategy, because these things that developers are usually interested in are not on those openings or anyway. So from my experience, we recruiters need to dive deeper. We need to interview hiring managers. We need to figure it out. We need to pull these insights from them. IT specialists don't like those boring generic descriptions at all. Like Martin, for example, who wrote on my Facebook page, I hate HR because they have no idea what they are talking about. They just keep saying Java, CSS, this framework and that, but they have actually zero knowledge about that. They just know the words maybe. And that's quite sad, right? Like, if this is the general sentiment, then we need to change it. And that's what we are doing with our colleagues actually inside the academy, but also with our colleagues and staff. Like, I train everyone properly who is working with our agency. So I talked to dozens of recruiters about this problem, and they often tell me they copy and paste job descriptions because they don't know what do those IT terms mean. And that's okay, because I don't remember all of them either. There are just so many, and new ones are popping up all the time. So it's okay not to know everything, not to remember it all, but the attitude and the willingness to learn is especially important in IT. So then you are probably wondering, how can you do it, especially if you haven't worked in IT for 15 years and you don't know the IT terminology just yet? So these are the steps that I go through with my colleagues and also with our clients, with other staffing agencies, the key to success, so to speak. So the first step is to understand the basic IT terminology and acronyms. The second step is to learn about the typical standard IT roles. The third step is to learn what tools, what languages, what frameworks do the IT professionals actually use. Number four, to learn what are the common developer personas. So to learn about the developer psychology and what do they usually prefer and value most. Number five, understand company pros and cons from the candidate standpoint so that you can sell those opportunities even better. So let me go through these one by one, starting with the first one, the IT terminology, acronyms. For example, let's just start with the terms like you see, I'm just looking at programming languages on the right-hand side, some team roles, keywords like Kanban, Scrum, programming languages like Java, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, C#, C++. I'm looking at some cloud providers, Amazon, Google Cloud. I'm looking at UX, UI, and design sprint, MVP, minimum viable product, testing, etc. Like these terms are just frequently popping up every day when you are screening candidates or talking to them. Like you need to know these keywords in the middle of the night if you are interacting with IT managers or candidates. Also, these tech acronyms keep repeating, for example, what HTML, GCP, CX, CMS, API, REST, PHP. Like all the time, the same keywords appear on candidates' resumes, and we just need to learn what do these mean and what does it mean for us in recruitment. You obviously, no one expects a recruiter to be able to code in Python. Obviously, that's not the point. But in recruitment, we need to know what does the keyword mean? What exactly does the person use or does at work? So the second step is to learn about the standard IT roles, because there are some roles. For example, front-end React engineer is one very typical role and popular these days, or the backend Java engineer, or a system analyst, or a DevOps engineer. So these are the typical roles. Once you learn what are the keywords related to this particular position, once you learn what are the screening questions, it's just so much easier in IT recruitment. Because once you learn what are the tools, what languages, what framework do these people use, then it's really walk in a park, because you are just sort of matching these few keywords with candidates. You are asking questions about pretty much these mind maps only. So you can learn about the common personas if you'd like to be able to cut through the noise and eventually attract those IT candidates better, because there are some personas, there are some specialists who like to start new projects from scratch. There are some professionals who like to just focus on ongoing maintenance. So once you are able to identify these patterns, then you can sell the opportunity much better. And the last step is to understand the company's pros and cons so that you can highlight those benefits for candidates. And then coming back to the example that I was sharing just a few minutes ago, then this would get easy because you would be able to focus on the most important keywords, PHP and Symfony in this case. You would be able to just highlight the things interesting for developers. And you will be able to pitch these vacancies like a pro. So this is our other mind map that reminds also me when I'm screening candidates and trying to pitch some of the opportunities, what to focus on. Is there anything interesting about the project, or something interesting about technologies, or about team members, or about the company? So we just need to identify those areas and then make sure that we pitch the opportunity properly to candidates, which will eventually help you increase your response rates, and IT candidates will want to interact with you as a recruiter. So the mistake number one is copying and pasting job requirements from clients to job boards or websites and emails. As I mentioned, that's not sustainable. There are so many job opportunities, and they are all pretty much, similar. So yours needs to stand out. So the key is to focus on what the IT professional needs to know, and then you need to add something on top of it to make the opportunity unique and exciting. So the cool thing is that this approach doesn't work just for me. It works for all kinds of recruiters, talent acquisition specialists, HR managers who embraced this market shift. Like Yui, who wrote recently, I adopted a new way of writing job ads, as Michael suggested. I got an amazing result, wrote on a Trustpilot. Maybe you are now thinking it's only for those who speak tech language like I do after 15, 17 years in IT. But the thing is that you don't have to code in Python to be able to recruit Python engineers. You just need to know what is Python, what is Django, what is Flask, what are the differences, what can Python be used for, web development or data science, data engineering. You need to be able to have this overall understanding of the IT landscape and tools these IT professionals use and what purpose is of those tools. Maybe you are now thinking it does not work for your clients, but I mean, it works for a lot of clients internationally. For smaller, we have smaller clients, larger clients, corporations. We have clients in different countries. So if you wonder if it could be used in your country, well, we have clients from the United States, from Europe, from India, from Dubai. So this approach just works because people behave similarly even in different countries. They use the same tools. They all are on social media. Their attention span is decreasing. So there are obviously some cultural differences around the globe, but the core of IT and IT recruitment is the same. So the fact is that the IT market is changing as we speak. The AI-driven recruitment software, the automation, demand and supply equilibrium, it makes it all more difficult. So we need to apply new strategies to fill IT vacancies while building good relationships with IT candidates. And that actually brings us to the second strategy. So if you guys watching this on YouTube have any questions, then you can just write them on the right-hand side in chat, and I'll respond in a few minutes. And if you guys here on Zoom have any questions, then also feel free to write them down in chat, and I'll be answering shortly. Cool. So the second one is, what important mistake to avoid when messaging potential candidates on LinkedIn? So when I started recruiting IT talents, I did exactly what the majority of recruiters do these days. I activated LinkedIn Premium and started sending LinkedIn messages, right? So after only a few days, I was very frustrated. I felt like I was bothering people. I didn't enjoy this activity at all. I felt like quitting because it was just so annoying. As an IT person and a digital marketeer, I tried to reverse engineer the process. I wanted to avoid the most boring, the most mundane tasks while spending most of my time engaging with those highly qualified candidates. Because I knew that as soon as I'm talking to them, I can sell them the job opportunity at hand very well. Most recruiters I worked with focused on sourcing, on messaging. As you can see on this chart, a lot of time is spent with the sourcing activity, but the added value is usually in the following steps: in qualifying candidates, matching them with the right opportunities, screening them, selling them those opportunities. This is not the most efficient use of our time. I wanted to focus on these activities like qualifying, screening, selling, matching, pitching. So I went on to set up advertisement campaigns on LinkedIn. This is one of the campaigns. As you can see, 500 euros went to this campaign. It generated 58 leads. This was the campaign text, even with some nice image on the right-hand side, because on LinkedIn, the real advertising platform, you can create also some images and upload. LinkedIn was sending these messages to candidates. And as you can see, for 500 euros, it sent 2,300 messages. 80% of these messages were opened. 58 people applied. 25 people I had calls with. 10 people were good, and I introduced them to the CTO. 5 of them passed the technical interviews. 4 of them passed the technical assessment, and 1 of them got the offer extended, which eventually led to about 26,000 euros in commission, which was really sweet, right? Like 490 euros in, 26,200 out. Like that was a sweet ROI. So what was probably even better was that I was able to focus on what I enjoyed most. So instead of messaging candidates all day on LinkedIn, I was able to focus on the other parts of the process. So I spent very little time, in fact, on this project, thanks to the ad campaigns on social media. As you can see, I spent probably 40 hours in total, 4 hours to set up the campaign, 3 hours to pre-screen, 15 hours on calls, 6 hours on technical interviews, 2 hours, some admin follow-up, and boom, there was it. So sending hundreds of the same messages on LinkedIn every week, every day is very inefficient because instead you could engage with candidates, call them up, build a relationship. That's where the added value is. And this strategy doesn't work just for me. It also works for other recruiters who join my training and learn how to apply it. So for example, Ferenc, he wrote on Trustpilot, I managed to learn from Michael even after 10 years in the tech hiring game. As the technique I learned was presented well, I was able to apply it right after on 2 different search projects. Good leads were generated and ended up in 2 candidates reaching the offer stage. So we don't know how much was it in terms of commission, but we can assume, given the average commissions in IT recruitment, that it was north of 10,000 at least euros. Maybe you are now thinking you cannot do this because you don't know anything about marketing. But the thing is, I'm not a marketeer either. I mean, I just learned some tips and tricks. I studied online, but I haven't really studied this on a university, or I don't have marketing background. I just learned it on the go. And LinkedIn, Facebook, they make it really easy to set up a new campaign. So you don't have to know much about marketing. Maybe you are afraid of spending a few hundreds of euros on ads, but it's always some trade-off. How much can you earn? Can you earn more than, say, 10 times? But then it could be worth to take the risk, right? If you can earn more than 30 times, then I guess that's awesome. And, it's worth taking the risk. You are probably thinking you are too busy to manage your new ad campaign. And the thing is that you can save lots of time on the lead generation. And instead, you can spend time with candidates. So the truth is that IT professionals are sick and tired of recruiters who keep sending them irrelevant messages on LinkedIn. So we need to get better at communicating with prospects, engage with them, and if, then only send relevant messages. Which brings us to the secret number 3. So if you guys also on YouTube, if you guys have any questions, then feel free to let me know in chat, and I'll answer them later. Cool. So the number 3 is why not to leave money on the table and earn additional commissions and bonuses instead. So if you are anything like me, you wake up in the morning and you think, how can I earn more money this year? So if you are an HR specialist or a recruiter, you pretty much only have 2 options. First, you can get a new job that pays you 20 or 30% more. Second, you work harder at your current job, put in more hours, be more effective, and get some bonuses as a result, hopefully. But just thinking about the first option, probably not the best one. Like how likely it is really that you would get a job that pays 20% more. And second, do you really want to work harder at your current job, put in more hours without really knowing that there will be something coming out of it? Probably not, right? So if you are like most recruiters I work with, you are either employed or you work freelance for a few clients who throw all their JDs at you. You may work 8 hours a day or probably 10 or 12, but at some point you reach the ceiling of what you can achieve. And the only really effective way to increasing your income is by monetizing your network, monetizing your connections. You are already connected to IT professionals on LinkedIn. You probably have a database, and now you can get paid for referring some of those people to real clients. Like Zuzana, for example, who joined our recruitment network in September. And as you can see on Slack, and in October, she submitted her first candidate who was eventually hired by the client. Only 3 weeks later, as you can see here, mid-October. So she got a few thousands in commissions just for submitting a software developer she already knew and had the recruitment professional relationship with. You can earn on average about $3,500 for each placed candidate in a good network. You can see an example of the job portal with commissions for recruiters. A good recruitment network will also help you understand the job requirements so you know exactly who to look for. They will support you on an ongoing basis. And that's exactly what we do during sourcing webinars every Thursday. You can see on the right-hand side, every Thursday, a new webinar, whether it is a senior Python Django engineer or a chief technology officer or a C# .NET developer or an iOS expert or a QA engineer, product owner, you name it, we've got it. So the mistake I wanted to warn you about is leaving money on the table. You already have very valuable relationships and you need to look for ways to monetize them. And I happen to run one of these networks, and we can discuss if this would be a good fit for you. Some of the recent payments to our recruitment specialists are 3,800 euros to a recruiter in South African Republic, 3,200 euros to a recruiter in Germany, 3,000 euros to a recruiter in Slovakia, and all those money for just a few hours of work per week. So yeah, before we go to the Q&A, I have a question for you guys on YouTube and also here on Zoom. So just let me know, what would you like? Would you like to, number one, fill more IT vacancies? Or number two, earn more money on the side? Or number three, both? So just let me know the number 1, 2, or 3. And I'll wait a few seconds. And we will take it from there. I'm also looking at YouTube. Oh, cool. Yeah. 3. Also on Zoom. Oh, yes. 3, Volha, Sharada 3. Awesome. Well, you guys, you're similar to what my wife suggests as well. She says like, hey, why don't, we get some money on the side? And I'm like, well, let's do it. Okay. So like-minded in this sense. And in that case, can I show you a few options? How can I help you or your team with regards to getting more candidates to close the positions and also help you get some money on the side? Just let me know in chat and I can show you a few more slides. Just answer yes and no, and we will take it from there. Also, I'm just looking at YouTube. Meanwhile, if you guys have any question, feel free to just let me know. Yes. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'll tell you. So like really quick, this is what I discovered while working with all these recruiters and IT professionals. So many of them from international recruitment agencies, Manpower, Accenture. So the key to success is in these steps. First, analyze the technical job description, the job requirement, because if this is screwed up, then you are just wasting your time in the following steps of the process. Screening candidates, super important, especially because we need to be able to sell those candidates to clients eventually. So let me show you these building blocks. So number one, strong IT foundation. That's super important because based on the strong IT foundation, you would be able to analyze IT requirements. It's really difficult to analyze the job requirement without understanding the IT ecosystem. And then screening IT candidates. This is very important because if you mess up this part, then you don't have good candidates to submit to your clients or hiring managers. Getting more IT candidates using social media is awesome to get more leads to your recruitment funnel, as I showed you the example. So instead of you sending messages all day, you can deploy the paid advertisement or social media in general. It could be free social media as well, and monetizing your network as the cherry on top of the pie. So I have created lots of materials to support fellow recruiters, starting with the mind maps, the IT talents book, the clear job requirements book and the video course, confident interviews book and the video course, recruitment method exposed, which includes the case study, step-by-step, very detailed, and the recruitment network, where we have over 50 recruitment specialists working on international job requirements. So I organize the tech recruitment program every 3 months, roughly. The next one will be in April 11th. The previous one was in January, and it was sold out all the time, several days in advance. So the next group, as I mentioned, starts in April. You can check out the website, https://techrecruitmentprogram.com. You can check it out and get your ticket if you would like to get better at IT recruitment. This is something I also do for my colleagues. They go through a very similar process. This is the program that I also organize for staffing agencies. So this material has been tested and it's proven, it works, it converts people who have never worked in IT to recruiters who are confident and can go out there, source IT candidates, talk to them, and close IT positions. So if you join now in April, you would get access to not just those live sessions, but also, of course, materials, courseware, additional live sessions, the role plays, the additional sessions to answer your questions. So we have 2 different tickets, standard and VIP. With the VIP ticket, you would have access to those additional sessions. We have live sessions where everyone has the camera on and we just talk about IT recruitment. I present slides, but I also share some very hands-on examples because, as I mentioned, I'm recruiting for international clients as well. So I use lots of real-world examples. Cool. So this is from January, but the next group is in April. But you can see the schedule. So it is 3 weeks. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the 3rd week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's very hands-on. These sessions are great, very hands-on and very engaging as well. You would get also a slide deck. You would get the worksheet as well, the replays in the members area. So everything is already prepared. I mean, those videos we need to replace with the most recent ones, but some videos are pre-recorded, those videos that go deeper in certain aspects of the recruitment part. There are live Q&A sessions for people to cover all the questions, the exam at the end with the certificate. And yeah, as I mentioned, we have 2 different tickets, standard and VIP. So if you get to the session, to the class in April, you will get all these bonuses. So it really cannot get better. You will get access to the guide to sourcing candidates on LinkedIn, on GitHub as well. You will get the Boolean search keywords generator. You will get the powerful messaging on LinkedIn case study. You will get Excel spreadsheet with a list of IT recruitment agencies, just if you would like to get a new job, so you can really quickly just message them and ask if they are hiring. And the best part is that we will share with you job requirements from our partners, so you can start recruiting on the side right after you pass the certification. You would get access to our job portal, and you can start recruiting for international clients right away. You would become our local partner on the ground. You can work part-time, of course, just a few hours per week, and submit candidates who you already know. You may know that they are now looking for a job. You submit them, and boom, there you go. So you can just go to techrecruitmentprogram.com, get your ticket, or if you have any question, I'm here to answer these questions and take it from here if you have any questions. So just let me know in chat whether you are watching this on YouTube or on Zoom. And just think, how would your life change if you fill just one more vacancy every month? As I mentioned, we pay usually 3,500, 4,000 euros per successful placement. So how would your life change if you place one per month? What could you afford if you earn 3,500 euros on top of your current salary? So signal your interest ASAP, so we can book a slot for you to join the program, to become our recruitment partner. Of course, it works best if you go through the program to become our partner, because then we know that you can actually do the recruitment. You would get all these bonuses, so you can watch additional videos. You can start watching videos right away after you purchase the ticket. You don't have to wait for those live sessions. And we have obviously money back guarantee. So if you for some reason don't like the program, then of course you can get back your money, but no one has ever asked for a refund of this program. Cool. So yeah, what others said about the program, you can check on Trustpilot. I'll send you the link. So check it out. And I'm also pasting it on YouTube. So check out Trustpilot. We have over 100 reviews, and you would see lots of really cool comments of how it helped recruiters to get a new job or to start working part-time. So yeah, it's been a rewarding journey. I hope you will enjoy it as well. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, then I will wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this webinar and learned something new about those mistakes, as I mentioned. I was talking about them right for the first 40 minutes. What are the mistakes to avoid, how to close more candidates, how to earn some more money on the side, join a recruitment network, and utilize your relationships with candidates. Alrighty, so I guess I'll wrap it up. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and we'll keep in touch.